So as I was saying, Pope Benedict XVI announced the Year of Faith almost a year ago. He did so on October 11th, 2011, and it is set to begin on October 11th, 2012, so just about 6 weeks from now. So you might first be thinking right off the bat, what the heck is so important about October 11th? Why is it happening on this date? Why did he announce it on that date? Well, it just so happens that that is the 50th anniversary of the opening of the Second Vatican Council, as well as the 20th anniversary of the publication of the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Now, just as in a marriage, we celebrate anniversaries to rekindle our love and to try to renew our relationship, the same thing in a church. Anniversaries are very important, and they're great opportunities for the church to renew our faith and our love. And finally, the beginning of the Year of Faith on October 11th will coincide with the beginning of the General Assembly of the Synod of Bishops on the new evangelization. So this is a great opportunity that our church is going to be looking forward to, looking at how can we more effectively implement the new evangelization. And that synod will once again begin on October 11th. So it's a convergence of many, many important things happening on October 11th. And finally, the Year of Faith is going to conclude on November 24th, 2013, which is the solemnity of our Lord Jesus Christ, Universal King. We used to refer to that feast as Christ the King, and I'm sure we still do in our popular circles, and that is when the Year of Faith is going to end. So it's going to be a nice, long, and glorious year for the church to do a lot of this celebrating, and in particular, let's talk about what some of the goals are for the Year of Faith. Our Holy Father is really seeking to accomplish two main things, really two goals. And the first is that we will all encounter Jesus Christ more deeply by engaging with authentic witnesses to the faith, people who truly have a relationship with Jesus Christ. And secondly, the Holy Father earnestly desires that we will all develop a deeper understanding of the truths of our faith that Jesus revealed and that are transmitted to us through very important church documents and resources like the Catechism of the Catholic Church and the documents of the Second Vatican Council. Now, to kind of put this in plain speak for all of us, which I like to do, in more colloquial terms, I suppose we could say that the goal of the Year of Faith is to spice up our faith lives. You know, from time to time, we need to intensify and renew our faith. Again, much in the same way that any two people who are in love need to occasionally spice up their lives and intensify their romance and renew their relationship. And we could probably think of the Year of Faith as a year-long second honeymoon as we seek to recapture the newness of our relationship with Jesus. Now, I mentioned that this Year of Faith is taking place on the 50th anniversary of the Second Vatican Council, which in and of itself was quite an experience of renewal for the Church. Back then, Pope John the 23rd said that it was time to open the windows and let some fresh air into our church so that we might experience a new Pentecost. And the result of that council was a renewal of church life, a renewal of our relationship with other Christians and people of other faiths. It was a renewal of the role of the laity and, of course, a renewal of the liturgy. But it's important to realize that many of us think, the Second Vatican Council, that's when the Mass was put into English and the priest turned around from instead of facing the other way. That's only really a small part, as you see, of the four areas that the Second Vatican Council renewed. And probably the most important of all of those is really the lay apostolate. The Second Vatican Council gave us a very strong and clear and new, fresh idea of what it means to live out our baptismal call and a life of holiness. And that's what we're doing here as catechists this evening, gathered to participate in this webinar. How can we, as part of the lay apostolate, bring about this year of faith. So it was a time of great excitement back in the 1960s, and our present Holy Father, who was a key player at that council, wants us to recapture that renewal and that excitement. Now, one of the things that came out of the Second Vatican Council was the call for a new universal catechism, the first one in over 400 years. And Pope John Paul II took up that challenge, and he oversaw the development of the Catechism of the Catholic Church, which he promulgated on October 11th, 1992, which at that time was the 30th anniversary of the Second Vatican Council. Now, the Catechism of the Catholic Church has become for us a rich and wonderful source of unity and a sure norm for teaching the Catholic faith in an authentic manner. And of course, the Catechism is arranged according to four main parts, which are going to play an important part in our webinar this evening. These four pillars are the creed, sacraments, morality, and prayer. And these pillars, as I mentioned, are going to provide the framework for this webinar as we explore just what it means to teach during a year of faith. And before we jump into that, I just thought it would be very interesting. I'm curious to know just how old some of you are. We're going to take another poll question here, and I'd like to find out what your experience of the Second Vatican Council was all about or is all about. So, Nick, let me turn it back to you for our second poll question.
All right, thank you, Joe. And ladies and gentlemen, once again, the poll question box is open on your screen. This time the question is, how long have you been around? Please select A if you were around long before Vatican II, 1963. B if you arrived just before, during, or just after Vatican II. Please select C if you're definitely a post-Vatican II baby, or finally select D if you weren't born until the Catechism came out in 1992.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Nick, I'm guessing that you're a C, huh?
Absolutely right, Joe.
Definitely a post-Vatican II baby. But you were born before the Catechism came out in 92.
Yes.
Okay. Well, while we're waiting for Nick to count those votes, I can tell you that I personally was born in 1959. So I am a pre-Vatican II baby. And I actually have early memories of the Latin Mass and learning with the Baltimore Catechism. But I have very strong memories of the excitement that followed in our parish and in our community following the Second Vatican Council in the mid-1960s. So I guess I got the best of both worlds there. So Nick is telling me he's got the results in. Let's see just how old our audience is tonight. Nick?
All right, Joe, we covered all the answers tonight, but the biggest single group we have is B, just before, during, or just after Vatican II, and that's followed closely by the folks who were around long before Vatican II. Okay,
interesting. And then folks your age, Nick, looks like about a quarter of our audience is in your age group, and we have a smattering of people here who were not born until the Catechism came out in 1992. And so welcome to you very young people who are with us tonight and are a part of this experience.